Once upon a time in a faraway land, nestled amidst the mystical embrace of lush green forests and golden rice fields, there existed a humble village. Life in the village flowed like the gentle stream that meandered through its heart, peaceful and serene. In the heart of this idyllic village lived a kind-hearted elderly woman named Mbok. Her face, etched with the wrinkles of time, was a testament to a life well lived, each line telling a silent story of love and resilience. Despite her advanced age, Mbok possessed a youthful spirit, a spirit that refused to be dampened by the march of time. Every evening, as the sun began its descent and the sky turned into a canvas of vibrant hues, Mbok would step out of her humble abode and find solace in the open field. There, beneath the silvery glow of the full moon, she would fold her gnarled hands in prayer, her eyes closed in a silent communion with the heavens. Her prayers were simple, heartfelt, and pure. She prayed for a child, a wish that had remained constant throughout her years. One night, as Mbok knelt in her usual spot, a profound stillness fell over the landscape. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The moon, obscured by dark clouds, vanished from sight, plunging the world into an eerie darkness. Mbok, though initially startled, remained steadfast in her prayer. Then, as if in response to her unwavering faith, the clouds parted, revealing the moon in all its glory. But it was not just any moonlight. This was a spectacle of unparalleled beauty. The moonlight bathed the entire landscape in a soft, otherworldly glow. It was as if the moon itself had descended to Earth, transforming the mundane into the magical. As Mbok stood there mesmerized, a faint glow emanated from the eastern horizon, slowly growing brighter with each passing moment. It was a light that seemed to beckon, calling her towards it. Curiosity and a sense of wonder overcoming her, Mbok found herself drawn to the edge of the rice field. There, suspended in the air above the tall grasses, was a sight that defied belief. Floating in the night sky was a gigantic green cucumber, its size almost inconceivable. Its skin shimmered with a soft, otherworldly glow, casting an ethereal light on the ground below. The cucumber hung there, an enigma in the night, until it slowly began to descend, gliding silently towards Mbok. Mbok, rooted to the spot, could only watch in awe as the giant cucumber approached. Fear wrestled with curiosity within her, but something compelled her to remain where she was. Just as the cucumber neared its lowest point, a crack appeared on its surface. The crack widened, transforming into a circular opening from which a brilliant golden light streamed forth. Then, to Mbok's utter astonishment, the giant cucumber split open, and from its depths emerged a golden child. The child, no bigger than Mbok's thumb, looked every bit a tiny radiant sun. Her skin was the color of burnished gold, her eyes shone like stars, and her laughter echoed like the tinkling of bells. Overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, Mbok reached out and gently cradled the child, who looked up at her with innocent wonder. In that instant, an inexplicable bond formed between them. The old woman couldn't remember the last time her heart had soared with such joy. With trembling hands, she lifted the child, whispering words of love and adoration. Naming her Timun Mas, which meant golden child, Mbok carried her home, her steps lighter, and her heart brimming with gratitude. The child Timun Mas grew at an astonishing rate. By the time the first rays of sunlight touched the eastern horizon, she was a fully grown, strikingly beautiful young woman. Not only was Timun Mas blessed with physical beauty, but she also possessed a brave and intelligent spirit. Years rolled by like the changing seasons, and Timun Mas blossomed into a symbol of hope and joy for the entire village. Then, as if to shatter the tranquility of their lives, a dark cloud appeared on the horizon, signaling the return of a dreaded monster. The monster, known as Buto Ijo, or the Green Ogre, was a creature of immense power and malevolence, feared by all who knew of its existence. The very sight of its hulking form sent shivers down the spines of the villagers, and the mere mention of its name invoked terror in their hearts. Legend spoke of its insatiable appetite for human flesh, its taste for blood, and its sheer destructive power. The sky turned a menacing red, and the wind picked up, carrying with it the stench of decay and the distant roar of thunder. Amidst this terrifying spectacle, a lone figure emerged from the swirling darkness, striding purposefully towards the village. It was the Green Ogre. His eyes, burning like hot coals, scanned the landscape, searching for his long-awaited prey. You see, when the green ogre was merely a small demon, the villagers had sought to banish him. In a desperate attempt to save themselves, they had made a pact with him. They promised him the first child born under the red moon, hoping that this sacrifice would appease him and grant them years of peace. Now, with the reappearance of the red moon and the birth of Timun Mas, the villagers had broken the pact, and the green ogre had returned to claim what was rightfully his. Panic surged through the village as the people realized the dreadful truth. The green ogre was here, and he would not leave empty-handed. All except Timun Mas remained hidden in their homes, paralyzed by fear. Timun Mas, however, was not like the others. She stood tall, her eyes blazing with defiance and her heart pounding with courage. Though terror gnawed at her insides, she refused to cower. Instead, she stepped forward, determined to confront the monster. Timun Mas knew that her strength lay in her intelligence. Grasping the seriousness of the situation, she had already prepared for the green ogre's return. Before leaving her house, she had secretly gathered some peculiar items. These included cucumber seeds, needles, salt, and shrimp paste, each holding a special significance in the battle against the green ogre. Now, with these mysterious items in hand, Timun Mas ventured into the forest, keeping a close eye on the advancing monster. The green ogre, sensing the villagers' fear, reveled in his imminent victory. He lumbered along, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground, his cruel laughter echoing through the terrified village. As the green ogre drew closer to the river, Timun Mas stopped. With her back to the water, she took a handful of cucumber seeds and with a flick of her wrist, sent them flying. The seeds sailed through the air, tracing graceful arcs before disappearing into the river. In an instant, the tranquil water transformed into a raging torrent, swelling rapidly and blocking the path of the green ogre. Moreover, the riverbed vanished beneath the rising waters, replaced by a vast expanse of churning, muddy current. Startled by this sudden turn of events, the green ogre hesitated, but his hesitation was only momentary. Fueled by his insatiable hunger and urged on by his demonic instincts, he charged into the raging waters. He roared in anger and frustration as he struggled against the current, his massive frame dwarfed by the towering walls of water. Undeterred, Timun Mas continued her flight, reaching the second barrier. Here she paused, scattering needles on the ground before swiftly moving forward. The needles, imbued with her magical powers, pierced the thick foliage and sprouted into razor-sharp bamboo spikes. These rose from the ground, forming a dense, impenetrable thicket that blocked the path of the fleeing monster. The green ogre, battered and exhausted, stumbled upon the third obstacle created by Timun Mas. With a defiant spirit, he swatted at the salt crystals covering the ground, sending them flying. However, the salt stung his flesh like 1,000 tiny fires, forcing him to leap into the air in agony. While he was airborne, Timun Mas moved past the fourth barrier, leaving the enraged beast trapped between two worlds. The green ogre, consumed by hatred and desperation, lunged towards Timun Mas. With a deafening roar, he hurled a massive boulder at her, aiming to crush her beneath its weight. But Timun Mas, agile and quick-witted, leaped aside just in the nick of time, allowing the boulder to miss its mark. Instead, it crashed into the ground where she had been standing, creating a deep crater. Now faced with the fifth and final barrier, the green ogre grew increasingly frustrated. With a Herculean effort, he broke through the previous defenses, each step bringing him closer to his elusive prey. He stumbled into the last trap, finding himself knee-deep in a swamp filled with venomous toads and biting ants. The stench was unbearable, and the very air hummed with danger. With a final surge of strength, he pulled himself from the swamp and charged toward Timun Mas, only to collapse moments later. The swamp's noxious fumes overcame him, causing him to fall to his knees, his chest heaving as he struggled to breathe. Seizing her opportunity, Timun Mas dashed forward, snatched the dagger from its sheath, and plunged it into the ogre's chest. The green ogre let out a deafening roar, a final guttural scream that echoed across the tormented landscape before collapsing into a pile of ashes. And with the death of the green ogre, the sky cleared, the winds stilled, and the clouds parted, revealing the glorious face of the moon once again. Peace returned to the land, broken only by the gentle rustling of leaves and the murmur of the revived river. Timun Mas, weary but triumphant, walked back to the village. The villagers, who had witnessed her bravery from afar, erupted into cheers, their voices echoing her courage. The old woman, Mbok, rushed to greet her, her eyes shining with pride and gratitude. In that moment of shared joy, they were not just a girl and her adoptive mother, but symbols of hope, courage, and unwavering love. And so the legend of Timun Mas, the golden girl who defied a monster, continued to be passed down through generations. It served as a reminder that even the most fearsome monsters can be defeated, not always with brute force, but often with intelligence, courage, and an indomitable spirit.